one of our bi-weekly meetings that we are doing today is, of course, May the 1st, so about a little after 10. One of the things I want to take a look at, guys, and you'll see that this schedule, this calendar is fairly short, is that I'm going to ask the commissioners to give us information as to the topics they'd like to see discussed. Many of you have talked about there's information that you'd like to have as we are moving forward. And so rather than trying to have everything comes from either staff or Craig or me or Laura, is that I'm going to ask that you let us know what you'd like to talk about, and then we'll build the agenda around that. And if we run out of topics, then I'll let you have your day back rather than just having a meeting that's just to meet. Because I know that most of you have something better to do than to hang out with me. So from there, we know that Rosie's not going to be here today, and that Craig is going to be helping us with this. So I'll let the team begin with whomever, either Nathan or Laura or Craig.
Okay. Chairman, do you want me to go ahead and just do a quick roll call so we have that for the record?
That's
Okay.
right. Things that Laura, I'll let you explain why we want to do that.
So I think these calls will be, they are recorded, and we're going to separate the video from the audio and post only the audio. So just for, future, when somebody's only able to listen and they can't really tell who's calling, talking, if you can identify yourself, and then we'll upfront take the roll call. So Commissioner Curran,
Here.
Commissioner Doherty,
Here.
Commissioner Floyd, Commissioner Japon Porter, Commissioner Miletus,
Here.
and Chair Reval.
Here. Okay, great. Craig, it's yours.
All right, so I just wanted to we'll just go through this agenda. So thanks for making it a nice short agenda. We've got a legislative update, a staffing update, and a budget update, just to give us a chance as staff to make sure that we're keeping the loop, just because there's so much, even in a normal session time, this is the time when things start to move. And then of course we've got it's not a normal time for the commission, and so glad we can do these do these commission check-ins more frequently. So let me hit the legislative update. And so the bills that are on there are 2013, 3308, and 3610. Nathan, maybe you can hit 3610 for me, and I'll hit the other two. Does that sound okay?
Sure, that sounds good.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just basically today, the legislative update is today is the day that the revenue forecast comes out for the entire state of Oregon. And this is then when the agency budgets start getting worked. And we have policy bills, and then the agency budget, and then some of the policy bills impact the agency budget. So HB 2013 is the bill that we made a priority, and has to do with out-of-state folks bringing in spirits, and relates to some litigation that is pending. I think I've briefed you all on this before. That bill is in Ways and Means and ready to be worked. Colin has worked on it with as far as any fiscal impacts. And so basically that's a priority for us to get that out of Ways and Means. And I think that one's ready to go. I think that one we've talked about at quite a few different meetings. Stacy Postgates helped us with that one, but we're well set to get that out and rolling. Obviously, the concern is just making sure that the legislature and the governor know that that's a priority bill for us, and we've made that clear to both the governor's office and the legislature.
Thank you, Chair. So the governor's office, if this is the bill that we've been talking about, is that this is the lawsuit that also brings in the governor's office.
That's
So
correct.
it's a surprise, and I'm not aware of any groups or any individuals that are against us clearing this up as it relates to interstate commerce.
It had unanimous votes in the committee. Rosie's main concern, frankly, is just time. If something, if the end of session gets, what's the word? If folks leave, or we just really want this bill to pass. And so you're right, Mr. Chair. I don't think this is controversial. It was an unanimous out of committee. We just want to make sure this one is highlighted so that it doesn't get stuck somewhere in the process.
Okay, thank you.
You bet. Moving on to the delivery bill, which is House Bill 3308. This is alcohol delivery regulation. We've been working with our partners on this. This is creating a third-party delivery facilitator who is licensed by the OLCC, and we would have license, and then the goal, of course, is to not serve to minors, not serve to visibly intoxicated, and we have full rulemaking authority within the bill, and we have the partners, I think, are all on board with the -9 amendments. Tyler and Rosie sent those out last week, and this one is set to be worked on May 4th. Yes, Star Wars Day, or whatever you call that, May the 4th. And that one also is in House rules. So that one seems to be in good shape as well.
And by rulemaking, against this chair again, is that OLCC will have the authority to set whatever the fees will be for those organizations who want to participate in this revenue enhancing program for them.
Correct. And also, the minutia, right? So what if the driver, we want to make it clear that, the alcohol is sealed. What happens if they have to return the alcohol? Just the details of everything will be, we have full rulemaking authority. And just the clear policy of the bill is to put the responsibility, if you use a third-party facilitator to deliver, that party is going to have the onus, and it will shift the liability or responsibility, if you will, to that party. I've been listening to NABCA videos and training over the last 2 weeks, trying to get myself up to speed. Each state has done this a little differently. I think clarity is the key so that everyone understands the arrangement. Oregon's going to take the delivery company will have the onus to make sure that it's done appropriately. And then we'll have a certification of their training, and we'll have, this one does have a budget impact. So we would be asking for some enforcement folks to make sure we can then assure that these new regulations are followed.
So
but that one, go ahead, Chair.
Remember when we did the racks with marijuana? I suspect, and Dennis, you weren't here there, but I suspect we'll do something similar to that, guys, if you think that's appropriate, where we're bringing in the industry to help create some of the rules and regulations. And then when we do that, the industry can't say that they weren't included in the rules making, and we weren't trying to be draconian about it. So if that's what you guys think too. Great. So Dennis, that'll be different. You'll be involved in that.
Okay.
Nathan, can you do that next bill, 3610?
Yeah, absolutely. So House Bill 3610 is not an OLCC bill as far as being introduced by us or being a governor's priority bill. However, it was a request put in from Representative Sanchez and Representative Nose. The focus of the bill is to study alcohol pricing and the impact of alcohol on addiction services. So this was, I think, originally a larger conversation than a task force assigned to looking at these issues, and there was a proposal to actually increase taxing. It's my understanding that the legislature pulled back from that and didn't want to move forward with that at this time. And so this is really a study effort to look at the future, what different prices could be changed and what the social impact would be, including on addiction services. So far, the bill has it's had several different amendments, and it does include OLCC at the table and requests us to staff the task force. So it'd be a policy initiative that we would do in between now and the next session, and we'd likely have our public health and alcohol policy analysts involved. There are alcohol industry individuals that are in seats for them to be included, as well as public health individuals. And there's been a public hearing held on this in rules, and we think that it will likely end up in Ways and Means. But we're waiting on the next step to see if that actually happens.
So, gives chair again. So Nathan, so Senator Sanchez has put this in, and this is kind of the last minute thing that came out that from about 2 or 3 weeks ago that we weren't really aware of. I think
That's right.
From my perspective, there are some questions that I'll bring up before the commission, because from my understanding, it does not include what the effects of cannabis and or marijuana has. So they're not at the table at this point.
That's correct.
And it doesn't necessarily address the shortage of providers that are in the state, which is why we're last in the country as far as having the number of providers that are available, and how the behavioral health industry can help address that, because we can't. So those are discussions that I will want to have as we move forward, if this moves forward, because I want to have a fuller discussion as to where we are in the state as it relates to behavioral health. And there are also some funding issues that are out there that the federal government has provided that I don't see and that they're discussing in this bill either. So I'm saying this so that the rest of the commissioners can know that I've taken a look at this, and I want as full a discussion as we can possibly have over the next biennium as it relates to all the issues that this will affect, not just alcohol and not just OLCC, but the other stakeholders that are out there that provide services to the community, including the providers, as to what they will accept for compensation. Of course, I'm in insurance that deals with that, and there's some discussions in the industry about providers will not take OHP because it's a cut and pay. They're not interested in taking Medicare because it's a cut and pay, but they'll take all of our commercial insurance because there is no cut and pay. And that becomes an issue for those individuals who are out there who really need services and are covered with OHP. So just as a heads up, those are looking at this bill, and if we're going to have a full discussion, these are some of the issues that I would want to bring to the table since we're staffing it at OLCC.
Yeah, and Chair, I hope you, I don't know if you can see, I'm sharing the language of the introduced bill. And so just to flesh out what it says right now is we would have, the OLCC would staff this, and we would have a report due to the interim committees of the legislature September 15, 2024. And, right now it's, I'll get the key language. is shall study the issue described in section 3 above, excuse me, subsection 3, which is, I'm sorry, let me find that real quick. I'm probably making you guys dizzy. See the large, there's 17 members. I'll have to look at the amendments, 13 appointed by the governor. And you can see the issues to study currently. The task force shall study the following issues. Line 26 there, alcohol addiction and alcohol addiction prevention, the distribution of resources for alcohol addiction treatment, the cost to the state of alcohol addiction, and the benefits and drawbacks of imposing taxes on beer and wine. So that's really subsection 3A through D is really what this current language is focused on. So we just wanted to make sure you were aware of that. And so, like you said, Mr. Chair, your comments and others can be carried forward. Nathan, I can't recall. I know this has had some hearings, and we could look to see if it has had others.
Yeah, it's had a hearing in rules, which is where it currently is.
Yeah, I did look at those, and I understand what they're trying to do, but it seems like it's a very narrow. When we look at who OLCC is and what we regulate, this seems, and the discussions around, what's the addictive effects of marijuana, if any, because we haven't had the kind of studies that we've had in alcohol for the last 80 years. My concern is that this is will be a very narrow conversation, and the bill doesn't address overall arching questions about how behavioral health is being treated in the state of Oregon, and why we're either first in an addiction and last in providing services, which you can't have a conversation about this on a narrow path, which is what this appears to be. Other commissioners, I don't know if you want to have comment or just wait, but I've been looking at this now pretty closely. That possibility. Jennifer, you were saying something? You're going on mute. So Laura, could you get her off of mute?
I think she wants to be on mute and she says she's good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Matt?
You're good. Yeah, you summed it up well. I think we'll have plenty of time to chat about this whole thing, but yeah, it's a broader issue for sure.
And it looks like Nathan said, it was last heard on April 20th, and it doesn't have any further, it's not set for a future hearing yet. So we'll keep you in the loop on that one. And we're tracking that. The last legislative update item, it's not on the
Hey, can you hold on a
agenda.
minute, Dennis?
Yeah,
Go ahead,
no,
Dennis, sorry.
I agree. This seems pretty narrow and focused on something very small that we need to expand this.
Tiana? If you're here? Okay, I don't hear anything. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, the last legislative update item is not bulleted, but I think we're fine as far as talking to it because of the agenda item is a legislative update is Senate Bill 1095. This has to do actually with the new congressional district. So we have an additional congressional district. We now have 6. And so this is a bill that was introduced, and I talked to the chair briefly about it's in rules. And what they've been doing is looking at commissions like ours that speaks to membership and this congressional district. And so I'll show you, I apologize again. I hope I'm not making you dizzy. But I'll get to the section regarding the OLCC. Can y'all see that section 12? So with the new congressional district, there is current language, of course, that was, Marvin and I were talking about this, trying to remember when it was added, but the current language on line 41 says we have an additional commissioner from the Eastern Oregon and one additional commissioner from Western Oregon. So if you're adding, we have 6 based upon congressional district, and then you have an additional one for the East, which would make 7 commissioners, an additional one for the West, which would make 8 commissioners. And then you never want to have an even number of commissioners. So you'd add 1 additional commissioner from represent the public at large to make for 9. And by the way, this is the similar languages in each one. So for example, if you look at other commissions like the State Parks and Rec Commission, they would be adding a member at large. And so they're trying to figure out what to do with having an additional congressional district. Marvin and I talked and I gave feedback. We were just allowed to give feedback. Marvin, if you want me to, I can try to go over the discussion was, we would prefer to keep at 7. So we were able to give feedback that we could delete the language that adds an additional Western and Eastern member, and we would just have an additional member and stay at 7. I don't know what they'll do with that feedback. This bill also just came up recently, but I wanted to just put that one on your radar just out of transparency and making sure you knew. This looks just like they're trying to do a cleanup bill for all the boards, but each board has different language. And so we just gave some feedback to some of the folks on what we thought would be the preferable path. Chair, I'll end there if you have any other comments, and that'll be my last legislative update.
No, that was pretty much it. From that, I think we're fairly close to what they're trying to do already. East and West, and really, I was talking to some of the commissioners earlier. It's just really for our position is either assign someone or ask for a new representative for Congressional District 1, which of course didn't exist until the census was taken. And so we're pretty close to what they're trying to accomplish, which is why we gave them that information of just keeping it at 7, because we have 1 slot that's open at this time. And that's what I've got.
That's what we've got.
So if anyone has something for the good of the order.
I've got the other 2 bullet items I can do really quick. I think I hit the budget. I did want to do a staffing update. I'm always want to make sure I'm getting information to my commission as soon as I can. Staffing update, I wanted to make sure everyone knew that Kai Nakashima has resigned and has moved on. And I did terminate the employment of Bill effective Friday. And I don't want to really get into the details of those because of pending litigation. But I always want to make sure I'm letting y'all know as soon as I can. So I wanted to let you know of those staffing changes that are permanent. And
so, do we get any feedback for the posting that we've done? Getting any nibbles?
Oh yes, the posting for the CIO. Really thankful for Scott Emery because he's pushing that out. And yes, he's getting some nibbles. I'll check back with him and have a better staffing update. And so we just want to make sure, we do have the CIO out. Thank you for those of you who've made sure we can push that out. If anyone's interested, it's in Workday. That's how folks would apply. And I'll check on that. And then I'm going to check with Laura Gomez, and I'll have an update for you I think the distilled spirits director was going to be the next one that I would move to recruitment on, and I'll have an update at that at our next check-in. Thanks for reminding me of that. But yes, we are getting some nibbles, so I'm very, very thankful of that.
Thank you.
Yeah, and so this week, last thing is the budget, and I think we hit it, but our budget's going to be up this week. And so we're thinking it'll be up Thursday. Colin's been working on it in detail with Michelle Deister. We're working with her. We are expecting to take some cuts, just like everyone else. They're looking at vacant positions. And we're giving Miss Deister everything she asks for, I think, to make sure she can make the difficult decisions that come down to it here at the end of the session. We're making sure to prioritize the warehouse IT and those things that were not bonded or need to be, need to have any borrowing for the warehouse. And she's been great to work with, and so I'll keep that one. That'll be my main thing to track this week. And I'll keep you guys updated on the budget.
Thank
With
you.
that, that's it.
Questions? All right, cool. 30 minutes. I appreciate everyone. So have a pleasant week and moving forward. Thanks a lot, everybody.